Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in to another video. I am RiderPride639, and today we got a special video here for you today. Today we are going to be discussing the Diablo IV Open Beta that happened just this past weekend here. There was another beta previous weekend, which was available for anybody that pre-ordered the game. As of this recording, I haven't actually pre-ordered the game as of yet, but we did get a chance to play in the Open Beta alongside with a couple of members of the community, with Agent Maverick as well as Chewy306. We had a great time playing this game together. And just kind of exploring the new game and getting a feel for it. And yeah, no, it turned out to be pretty good. But first, before we get started into everything here, first off, I just want to shout out .lex for making these beautiful new graphics that you're seeing on your screen here. There are also a whole bunch of new graphics over on my Twitch channel as well. So guys, make sure that if you want to see all this stuff live as it happens and when it happens, guys, make sure you're following me over on Twitch at twitch.tv/RiderPride639. I do stream 3 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays from 6:30 p.m. till 10:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, and Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. So you guys are going to see some background gameplay with myself and Chewy joining in. There's going to be some World Boss gameplay there as well. And yeah, we're just going to go over everything that happened in the game. Guys, make sure that you also are following me over on Twitter at twitter.com/RiderPride639. And you guys make sure that you're also subscribed to this channel as well. If you like these kind of videos, let me know down in the comments below. But I would really appreciate it if you do sub to the channel as well. Helps the channel out a lot, and it's going to help me grow even more so I can bring more videos like this to you in the future. So without further ado, let's get into some gameplay. Okay, so what you're seeing on the screen right now is the Diablo IV gameplay that I had on Saturday. This was during the crossplay day event for the Canadian Red Cross, which is why you see that little thing above. So I apologize if that kind of gets in the way of the graphics. Unfortunately, this is the only usable VOD that I had to download the gameplay from, so I apologize for that. But in any case here, like I said, what you guys are seeing is the Diablo IV gameplay. So the first thing that we'll get into here, what you're seeing here, is the character customization. There was a lot of detail, there's a lot of fine-tuning. This is something that's very new to the Diablo franchise. The fact that you really design your character the way you want him to look, that you want him or her to look. Yeah, there's all different kinds of hairstyles, skin tones, tattoo colors, things like that. Plus, there's also the wardrobe appearance, which is a super cool new feature. And the great thing about this wardrobe appearance is that it's persistent now, whereas before you really had to kind of reapply it every time you changed your gear. So now every time you pick up a new piece of gear, it's better than the one you're currently wearing. You can quickly throw it into place, and your gear look doesn't actually change until you want to go back to town. Go back to your wardrobe, and if you want to change the colors, then and there. The other thing that's happened in this game is there's also some new gear customizations. Like the thing that you're seeing on the screen right now, you can do a lot of imprinting of abilities. So you can find some legendary items, but the stats aren't all that good, but the ability that's on it is something that you want. I think this is kind of what's replacing the cube, so to speak. So you can strip a lot of powers off of legendary items, which destroys the item, which then you can basically implant that ability onto other items and upgrade them from rare to legendary status. So this will be a new system to kind of get used to. It takes a little bit of learning, but ultimately I think this will be pretty good for the game. Skill customization, the skill trees in this game are super massive. It may be a little overwhelming to players that are new to the franchise, but the skill trees coming back, how they built them into the game, it's super diverse. It gives you a lot of freedom to kind of build the character how you want them to play in combat and things like that. So I think that's actually a really nice thing to see, seeing the skill trees come back. And giving players more freedom to kind of build the characters and play them how they really want them to. Coming up next is adventuring in the world. I know a lot of players will say this right off the rip, and I know it's a beta, but it is something that I truly do hope that they do work on. There are some major performance issues. You've probably seen some of the lagging and the hitching and things like that happening in the background here throughout the combat. It's almost expected because of how far-reaching this particular beta was. Like, this particular open beta was open to everybody, regardless of whether or not you actually pre-ordered the game. So, and they did come out and say early on too, before the open beta started up, saying, okay, look, there's going to be performance issues. We know this is going to happen. We're going to do our best to try and combat them as best as we can, but expect there to be lag. Expect there to be server login queues, which was another big thing, a big point of contention, especially for players playing in the middle of the game where it would lag to the point where it would crash or disconnect you from the game. And the only way to basically get around the errors, you had to completely exit the game and go back in, which unfortunately resulted in you basically going to the back of the line, going back to the server queues again. So super unfortunate. Hopefully it's not something that we see a lot of when the game launches in June. But I have a feeling that this is probably something that we're going to have to contend with. It is what it is. That's just the way of things. And yeah, there's not really a whole lot that you can do as a player. You just kind of hope for the best. One of the other things that I noticed a lot, I don't know if this is going to affect people on console so much, but it did affect me a lot on PC. Streaming the game was actually a big challenge. I did try streaming it on Friday when Open Beta first opened up. I had a lot of crashes. I had a lot of issues with the encoder in OBS constantly crashing. I don't think people that played on console were quite as heavily affected unless they were streaming directly from the console. So again, hopefully this is something that they can address later on down. I did finally figure out a way to get the game to run as well as the stream to stay stable. I basically just had to switch my encoder from the NVENC down to the H.264. It wasn't quite as good of an encoder, but it did get the job done. Next up is the overall feel of the world. Voice acting in this game is very well done. There's a lot of variation in the voice acting. They probably used quite a few similar or same actors or actresses to voice a lot of the characters and a lot of the side quest characters. Not that huge of a deal. I know some people that would probably feel that this would kind of break their immersion a little bit, but overall I thought the voice acting was pretty well done. I like the fact that multiple NPCs outside of the main storyline have their own voices, so that's really cool to see, and I thought it added a bit more depth to the game. It felt really nice. There's a lot of side questing in this game that can really derail the story in a hurry if you're not paying attention. There's always story quests and things like that to do, but there's also a lot of side quests as you kind of venture out from area to area. There's a lot of side quests that you can pick up. Most of them are fairly easy to do. A handful of them are actually really quick. They'll take you maybe less than 2 to 3 minutes. Other ones might take you 10, 15, 20 minutes to go through the entirety of a dungeon to clear it out, get the quest done, go back and turn it in. So it's great if you're one of the completionist types like I am. So if you want to be able to do everything, get all the rewards, get all the experience for it, things like that. The side quest chaining is very well done. But again, like I said, if you are kind of focused on the main quest, but you get distracted very easily, the side quests can really derail the story in a big hurry. It doesn't really take away from anything. Like I said, having the extra XP, the extra items and things like that is quite nice. But just be careful. Just be careful what you're picking up and what kind of things you're going through. One of the big complaints that I've seen online, and this is actually one that I particularly agree with, a lot of the dungeons that you venture through look the exact same, and to me that's a big problem. And again, because I'm one of the completionist types, it feels like the dungeons all looking the same means like there's no real randomness, and I think that's one of the big draws that Diablo has always had, especially starting from 2, is that any dungeon that you go into, like if you exit the game and come back in, you go to the dungeon's in a different location. You exit the game, you come back in, you find the same dungeon, and the dungeon is procedurally generated in a completely different way, in a totally random way. So it always kept players on their toes, it kept players guessing, and just gave the game a more profound sense of adventure, when you're trying to loot through all these things. So that is a really big issue for me. I do hope it is something that they can fix to make these dungeons look and feel a whole lot better than you know, you go to a dungeon, you go to the next dungeon, it's the same one. You go to the next dungeon, it's the same one. The maps don't change, so I hope that is something that they do fix. The look and feel of combat, it's not bad. I have a feeling that players on console are going to have an easier time than players on keyboard and mouse. I did enjoy it on keyboard and mouse. So not to knock keyboard and mouse versus controller players, but one of the main issues that I had a lot of problems with is being able to move around in combat. Where if you're clicking on an area to try to move and try to reposition yourself, and you end up clicking on an enemy instead, you're standing still, and you're firing off your basic attacks. Which has gotten me into trouble more often than not. There's a good example there of me standing in an AoE where I was trying to dodge, and I couldn't because, my mouse cursor was stuck on an enemy trying to attack. It's the cursor is also a little bit harder to see, especially in the chaos of everything that's going on. So again, I hope this is something that they can fix as well. But yeah, other than that, like the keyboard and mouse combat still felt decent. I still felt like I was very, very engaged in combat, killing monsters and things like that. As for the monsters themselves, fans of the Diablo franchise are going to be very, very happy with this. A lot of the monsters felt very, very familiar. These are monsters that you've seen in the past throughout all the different franchises from 1 all the way up into 3. So seeing all these extra monsters with new names and things like that is great, but seeing a lot of the classics return, from skeletons to undead to the Khazra, the Khazra are back. So there's a lot of familiarity with the monsters, so it's really, really good when that happens. For the looting, it's as good as it can be. There probably could be a few tweaks and improvements and things like that, but the legendary dropping still gives you that great little hit of dopamine when it drops. You hear it, you know it's there, it shows up on the map, and you're excited to pick it up and see what kinds of stats that you got on it. So the looting is pretty decent. So I hope it sticks around like that. I do hope that the green set system does make its return. I didn't see any indication of it appearing in the main gameplay. It might be just something that they're going to save for release, but I do really hope that the green set loot is going to make its way back. That's another one of those things where it made the looting really, really cool. The new crafting system feels really, really decent as well. Picking up crafting items, it feels decent. It rewards you for exploring and looting in all the little nooks and crannies to get the gear that you want. So if you can't find the gear out in the world through the dungeons and whatnot, you still have a chance to kind of make your own gear. And I do believe the system rewards players very well for killing monsters, for looting bushes, for doing all kinds of exploration and things like that. Random world events that you see there, I thought the random world event thing is actually a really, really great idea. I think it took what they did in Diablo 3 and just improved upon it and allowed other players to get involved in these events as well. It looks like they do split the servers up into different shards so as not to basically congest or kind of prevent players from being able to get involved in certain events. The one thing that I do have to say about the world events, especially the random generation system, is I hope that there's a lot more variation in the world events. One of the things that I noticed, actually one of the things that my partners noticed in the game as well, is that a lot of the events were the same. They were almost happening too frequently, basically. Like you could go to different parts of the map, and you would participate in these world events because you want the rewards for them. But all of a sudden, you've done 3 or 4 world events, and 3 or 4 of them are the same ones that you just completed. So I do really, really hope that there is a lot more variance in these world events. But yeah, other than that, I think it's a great idea. They don't take too terribly long to finish. It feels like they're very, very rewarding, especially with there's a currency that you can get that you can use for gambling on new items, which again is another staple I think in the Diablo system. But having it separated, having a currency separated from the main gold system, I think is actually a great idea. So you don't have to spend all your time grinding for certain pieces of gear, things like that. But being able to gamble for the items, you know, if you're missing a legendary item, you're not having a whole heck of a lot of luck getting it to drop in the real world. Is like, oh, you know, you just need this one pair of boots to get the item that you want, things like that. So having this separate currency, I think, is a great idea, and I think it will allow players to, you know, give them more chances to kind of, again, build the characters that they want, even if they don't necessarily get the item that they want out of the gambling portion of things. You know, they'll still be able to at least, you know, strip the item down, grab the aspect out of it, or, you know, break it down for crafting items and then go ahead and craft a piece that they want. So yeah, that's kind of my thought on that. The environment itself feels really, really well built. Everything looks very, very detailed. The music is right on point. And then we get into things like what you're seeing here now, which is something that I hope that they expand upon as well. The World Boss event. So the World Boss that they had for the beta was for Ashava the Pestilent. It's a fantastic idea. I really had a lot of fun with it. It took me a couple of tries to bring this guy down. But myself and, like I said, a couple of members of the community, we teamed up. It allowed other players to join in as part of it. I believe that each particular shard can allow up to 12 players to participate in these events. Really, really good idea. It was a lot of fun to participate in. It was really, really neat that you had to you quite literally had to learn, you know, trial by fire type of thing, unless somebody, you know, made a guide beforehand. But to basically have to learn the mechanics of the fight as you go along and kind of figure out, okay, what works, what doesn't, which of these abilities are going to, you know, kill you right off the hop, you know, how to dodge certain abilities, when, you know, when to more or less learn when certain abilities are going to happen, things like that. So yeah, no, it was a great thing to experience, having to learn the mechanics on the fly, and understand what things do so that you don't get wiped out constantly. The nice thing about this is that even if you did die, you did have a checkpoint that was right nearby, so you could get back into the fight really, really quickly at the cost of having your gear broken if you died too many times. So, you know, it still gives some incentive for players to, you know, learn the mechanics and not just, you know, just face smash into these things. And I think the other thing that was also nice too is that the like I said, the boss was rewarding enough that when you beat it, the rewards could be a little bit better, but I still think that that, you know, when you wipe out the boss, the stuff that they drop is rewarding enough. I think that's that was a great thing. I think it was rewarding enough for the time that you put into the fight. So anyways, that's my particular take on the Diablo IV Open Beta. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you guys had a lot of fun with this one here. I know I did. So again, big thank you to Agent Maverick as well as Chewy306 for joining me on the beta. Also big thank you to Lackowitz for helping us out with the World Boss that you saw at the end there. So if you guys enjoyed this video, I would super appreciate it if you drop a like on the video as well as subscribing to the channel. Hopefully we'll get to do a lot more of these videos here for you in the future once Diablo 4 releases. If you guys also want to keep up with me on all of my social media, guys, make sure that you do follow me over on Twitter at RiderPride639 over there. I usually post a lot of news and updates and things going on as in my life, as well as with stuff on going on with my streams. And speaking of the streams, guys, make sure you're also following me over on Twitch at twitch.tv/RiderPride639, where I do stream 3 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays from 6:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, and Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, I'm kind of excited for the Diablo 4 release. I think I will be pulling the trigger and doing a pre-order from this. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. So yeah, we'll see you guys in game when it releases. So thank you all very much for tuning in, and until next time, take care.